What is feminism? Feminism is the idea that men and women should have equal opportunities. However, this concept has been corrupted as postmodern feminism is nothing but a lie, and I will show you why in this video. In the infamous Jordan Peterson and Cathy Newman debate, Cathy Newman persists with the notion that the gender pay gap stands at 9%. This is a popular argument feminists use, however it is rooted in a lack of critical thinking. Multivariate analysis of the pay gap indicates that it doesn't exist due to gender. Statistics show that women simply choose careers that have lower salaries. A study by Glassdoor Economic Research has shown that 9 of the 10 highest paid college majors are male dominated, while 6 out of the 10 lowest paid college majors are female dominated. According to the American Association of University Women, when you control for differences between men and women of occupation, college major, and length of time in the workplace, the gap reduces from 22 cents on the dollar to just 7 cents on the dollar. Those few extra cents can simply be attributed to the fact that women hardly negotiate their salaries. One study of more than 500 women found that only 16% of respondents negotiated their salaries, while men are much more likely to ask for a higher salary. Feminists often claim that they aren't given the same opportunity to negotiate, but this is disproven by the fact that 70% of managers expect there to be salary negotiation. There are a number of reasons as to why women don't go into these high-pressure, high-paying careers or get paid the same. They have different interests. They have to contend with their biological clock. Employers may see them as a liability in the future, statistically speaking, since women take more time off work. The idea that most women do want to work these jobs, but there is some societal expectation stopping them, is a false consensus effect perpetuated by feminists. She says that only 7 women run FTSE 100 companies.
You've got only 7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies.
Yeah.
So it seems to a lot of women that they're still being dominated and excluded, to quote your words back to you.
Which just shows their belief that disparity equals discrimination. If there's any difference between men and women, it's because of oppression. The fact that this disparity exists is just proof of the narrative that they are already predisposed to believe, and they engage in confirmation bias to back their claims. It's clear that they don't want equality, but rather they want equity. Throughout the interview, she was strawmanning him.
So you were saying that by and large, women are too agreeable to get the pay rises they deserve.
No, I'm saying that that's one component.
You're saying that women aren't intelligent enough to run these top companies?
No,
You're just
that's
saying
murderous.
things, though, to provoke, aren't you? I mean,
Not
you
a
are a
bit.
provocateur.
I never said
You're like
anything.
the alt-right that you hate to be compared to. You're saying that we should organise our societies along the lines of the lobsters.
But he was good at not giving in to her tactics. This was demonstrated in this particular moment where the topic of pronouns was being discussed.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I have exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on.
So
And that is what you should do. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
This is an example of the two quoque fallacy, in which she highlighted the hypocrisy of her argument. This, in turn, was more impactful in superseding her point, since she would internalize her lack of inconsistency leading to this moment.
So you haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
you have got me. You have got me. I'm trying to work
about
that through in
time.
my head. Yeah. It took a while.
It did, yeah.
It took a while.
She talks about the barriers in front of women, which is also a very common argument feminists make.
So I work
So
for...
you don't think there are barriers in their way that prevent them getting to the top?
They believe in the idea that men and women should have no barriers to entry, which is just a utopic view on life without friction, barriers, and shortcomings. You can't live in a reality where insecurities, prejudice, social biases, and generalizations don't happen, because the human brain is wired to find shortcuts and oversimplify things for survival. Life is unfair. She makes the point that instead of women adapting to the workplace and asking for higher salary, Firms should forsake profit and give the woman equal pay to her male counterpart in the situation.
Well, here's a radical idea. Why don't the bosses the male bosses, shall we say, adopt some female traits so that women don't have to fight and get their sharp elbows out for the pay rises? It's just accepted if they're doing the same job, they get the same pay.
So, feminism is all about equality between men and women, but then she proposes that employers offer up a luxury that men get through deserving it to women simply because they are women. Her final point is that since there is no proof that feminine traits aren't useful for conducting businesses, that should be our next course of action as a society.
I want to ask you, is it not desirable to have some of those female traits you're talking about? I'd say that's a generalization, but you've used the words female traits. Is it not desirable to have some of them at the top of business? I mean, maybe there wouldn't have
They
been
don't predict
a
success.
banking crisis.
They
if
don't
that had
predict
happened.
success in the workplace.
This is just a burden of proof fallacy, since a lack of proof does not by default make her claim right. Feminists are often extremely emotional, and the idea that the salaries that employees are paid are simply determined by the value that they provide seems to be a concept that is impossible for them to understand. They refuse to believe that anything other than prejudice is the reason for why women earn less, and ultimately, the group that this provides the most negative impact to is the feminists themselves. By not taking any personal accountability whatsoever and refusing to pick higher paid careers or negotiate for higher salaries, the concept of New Age feminism certainly has an overall negative impact on the female population.